You ready, my brother?
Yep.
Yes, indeed, powerful people. This is another episode of Breaking the Machine. I'm your host, Ahmad the Poet, alongside my partner, Spank the Bank.
What up, though?
And today we'll be taking another incremental step in shifting the culture. Today we have a very special episode. It's not every day that we have legends in the building with us today, so this is definitely a treat for us and the audience, man. Today we have a legendary artist and poet. We're talking Def Poetry Jam. We're talking Apollo Theater performing all across the world. We're talking one half of the rock band We Are Scorpio. We're talking the CEO and publisher of
More Black Press.
We're talking about a hip hop historian. We're talking about activist, Detroit legend, Detroit's own Jessica Care Moore. How you doing today, family?
That's such a great intro. Thank you.
He be having the intros on point.
I know your intros be like gold. I love it. Platinum. Sorry. Platinum intro. No. I'm blessed to be here. And we've been trying to do this for a minute.
Yes.
So I've been. Thank you for your grace.
Yes.
My schedule is kind of crazy. But you out on East Jefferson. I'm happy to be here.
Yes, it's only right. Booked and busy. I wanted to ask you to start off the podcast. Just what is a way to start off your day? What is your ideal way to start off your day when your day just goes amazing? How does it normally start off? Like if you can be intentional about it.
Okay. You mean once I get my son to school? Because, it's deep because when you're a parent that's just trying to get your kid to school, it is hard to get intentional with yourself first. And so what's deep is we just got back from a really amazing trip to Bali. And I think that changed my approach in my mornings. I do yoga, but when I was in Bali, I was meditating for 20 minutes every morning. I could get with the other people that were at the resort with me. And so that made me want to meditate more and get more centered. And people talk about that. They're like, does it really work? But it really did focus my brain in a certain way. But honestly, I need a cup of tea in the morning, some quiet. And I try not to just touch my phone first if I don't have to. But, I've been doing the mommy dance. So getting my son to school, I really don't start to focus on myself as a mother, unfortunately, and as a woman until I know my son is good. And then I start focusing on me. But even just 15, 20 minutes of movement. But I work out. I go to the gym. Like if I don't go to the gym at least 3 times a week, I don't really feel right. Yeah. So, yeah.
How was Bali as a whole? I mean, I heard Russell Simmons said it's like Disneyland for yoga practitioners.
Yeah, his space in particular. I stayed at Jidas, which is an amazing wellness resort. So my son was there with me. We had, all vegan food. We're vegetarian primarily, can get some fish. But all vegan food for 2 weeks, and 17-year-old didn't complain. So the food was delicious.
He was the biggest guy down there too, was he?
He's so tall.
Yeah.
So yeah, we went to the temple on the first day. We went to one of the water temples where you have to go through all these different fountains to get to the holy water. And that was really deep. But King looked like a giant. He's like went in line with like hundreds of Indonesian people and people from all over, people from South Korea coming to do this on the first day of the new year. And so deep to be in this ritual with people. We're probably the only African American people in the whole line. And I got my, my young black child there. And so, they was towering over everybody. I kind of fit in because I'm little. But a deep experience. But I think, but for me, I have to move, and I'm grown. So, I feel like women, you have to move their bodies. We're not taught that, growing up. And I was an athlete my whole life. So I play ball my whole life and softball and ran cross country, played volleyball. So I was a 4 varsity letterman. So shout out to, sports. So, because my body I have to be doing something with it, or I don't feel balanced. And I do a lot, especially when you're a giving person, the artist, art is an act of service. That really great artist, Black Block, that was just here doing the halftime game, the pianist from Detroit, just reminded me, he said that to my son, art is an act of service, because King don't ever want to come off his beats. So he's like, listen, man, give some beats away. It's okay. Because I give my art away. Once I write the poem, it don't really belong to me anymore. It's really like, okay, here, it's for you.
The audience.
Yeah, because I got, I'm 5 books in, and so, I'm just getting started. So never felt like I needed, but that's, that to say, moving my body. And I do need it. I'm a tea person.
Me too.
What kind of tea you drink?
I usually drink like green tea, but there's this
good.
one tea that I got from this one company. Well, they sent it to me on Instagram. I can't
Okay.
remember the name of them, but they have something called Happy Tea.
Happy tea. Okay.
It's like chamomile and a couple other things, but
Okay.
it just kind of like mellows you out in the morning, and then it has some other stuff. I can't remember what specifically is in
Okay.
it.
I like hibiscus tea.
Oh, hibiscus.
Hibiscus, yeah.
Yes, I have
It's
a good
good for blood
hibiscus.
flow. Good blood flow. I
Hibiscus
like
is
that.
a good tea with some honey, because it's a little bitter. I don't mind it, but like a little bit of honey in it is good.
Well, since we talking about parenting, how do you feel about gentle parenting?
I'm a Scorpio. I'm such a hard parent.
Okay, 'cause I was just about to say, how do you feel? Do you feel like it's watering down parenting, or is it making them better?
I don't even know what gentle parenting is.
Neither do I.
Well,
I mean,
it's just
parenting with love.
I guess I guess it's the same. My mother, I heard it before. I ain't gonna say my mother
Yeah.
made it up, but it's pretty much not yelling at your child.
Yeah, I'm horrible.
Or like let your child speak. Like just not shutting your child down. I
Well,
guess
the
in a
thing
way.
is, what I have done and happened with me as well is that I've raised a son that has strong opinions. He's very smart, and so we don't always agree on things, and we have good debates. And I try not to raise my voice. I can't say that I don't always. Being a single parent is hard. Sometimes you're just stressed out. You don't ever mean it. But sometimes it just comes out that way. But I have raised a child that he ain't quiet. And if he feels strongly about something, he's going to tell me. If we disagree on something, he's not scared to tell me he disagrees with me. I remember growing up with people who were scared of their parents where they couldn't say anything. So if my son was gay or depressed or something or going through something traumatic, I hope that I've raised him and that I feel like he could tell me anything hard. Or we have different opinions on politics. We have different opinions on different people in the world. I love having that conversation with him because he's not just going to be like, because it's my mom, I can't say nothing.
Right.
There's kids who are in those kind of households. I definitely don't have that in my house. So free-spirited, and when you raise somebody, though, to speak their mind, sometimes it goes back to bite you.
Yeah.
So you have to I have to deal with that sometimes and realize, okay, Jessica, he's speaking his mind because this is how you raise him to be free and speak his mind. So
Like a young Pac.
Yeah, I call him Light Skin Tupac.
Yeah.
That's my nickname for him, And so it's been a beautiful struggle, raising King. That memoir is going to be coming. I'm working on that. Once I get him to college, I'll be able to have the brain space to write it. But raising him as a free black boy in Detroit has been difficult in the U.S. education system. You're an educator, so you know how hard it is and how horrible these schools are.
Yeah.
Horrible. The ones I paid for him to go to, he was in private school until Detroit School of the Arts. So this is our only public school experience.
So,
and it's been the best ones.
what?
The free school.
And I'm thinking about doing private. You telling me private is not the
Well,
way?
they're trying to destroy my kid in different ways, Like, I ain't got to call him. Listen, I mean, for real. And I'm a parent that don't have a 9-to-5 job, so I can show up.
Yeah. Right.
So my son is texting me something. So what happened to him? I mean, we had an experience. I'm just going to say it. It was at UD Jesuit. He really wanted to go to this school because it looked like the Harry Potter school. He's a Virgo. He liked the aesthetics. I wasn't really tripping about UD. I knew a lot of brothers that were good guys that went there, that dressed nice, that had jobs. Okay. Maybe we'll give it a try. We'll see. And it was all boys. And my son cried so much in 7th grade. He was only 11 years old because he's at the birthday's in September. He's 11, 12 years old. Just a lot of crying. He said, and he told me later now, and he'll tell you himself, it was just the most unhappiest he'd ever been in his life. I know kids there. And I know there's good things that happen at that school, but my son not throwing a football, right? So he's not an athlete. Play ice hockey, but he's not an athlete at the school. And the academics was just like, this fella was overbearing. And there was nothing for him as an artist.
Yeah.
He had more fun in the cafeteria playing the piano that was in the cafeteria. He was just doing that on his free time. So to me, it just wasn't the school for him. But there was a vice principal in place that was literally trying to mess with his spirit in a way that I didn't like. And so, and I went to Cody. I'm from Joy Road. You know what I mean? And so I don't like
but
that
the money long is 6 miles.
But I had to just
mile.
let him know. I had to be like, listen, I don't know, my son, he was clowning my son because my son is named King. So you would think kids would be clowning him by his name. He's never really got any issues with kids with his name being King. But this administrator was, calling my son a jester, and he knew what that meant. My son, he's like, my mom, he's calling me a clown. And he said, your name is King, but you sure you're not? You sure you a king? He was questioning his name. And so I had to handle it, and he apologized to my son right in front of me. And he's gone now from that school, as he should be. But, I felt like they were weeding out the black boys. You know, they want a certain kind of black boy.
Yeah.
Straight lace, don't talk much,
Yeah.
play some sports, good academics. Like ones they just
shut up and dribble.
Shut up and dribble, and also, or you already a 4.0 student, so you know we ain't got to really do any work. Like I mean, so I heard the schools that make. I mean, he had to cut all his locks off. We won't speak. We don't get that school down this much. You know, this much. But they don't. They have changed that policy where black boys can now have their hair, and white boys who want to have a ponytail past they show. It's not a military school, so I never understood. But we have the Crown Act now. We didn't have that.
It's more of it's like corporate. Like they trying to get. It's like they're getting you ready. Yeah, they're getting you ready for the rabbit. The whole, you know, this.
Yeah, and I had to tell this band at one of the orientations. I said, "Well, do I look like I don't have a job?" I said, "I have a full head of hair." I understand you're trying to get the kids ready for workforce. My son ain't going to workforce. My son gonna own whatever company he runs. He's gonna own himself at all times and be his own boss. I'm not raising workforce, but you know.
I love it.
So yeah.
So where would you say you got your outspoken spirit from? Was it just the era that you grew up in, or was it like a specific events that kind of made you?
My daddy, my daddy Tom Moore. It's his centennial year this year, so I got a strong ancestor. My daddy would have been 100 years old had he been alive. He was born in 1924 in rural Madison, Alabama, made himself into himself. And so I didn't even see my daddy work for nobody. So a construction worker. So I was raised in a construction worker. My mother worked for the phone company. Just regular folks on the west side of Detroit, working class people. My daddy, everything. And so my daddy he would be the brother going down to Alabama to bring other men here for work. But he had Tom's Trucking. That was his company. So my daddy like literally laid cement in Detroit. He helped build Livonia Mall in Livonia. Like he's a workhorse, you know, hard hat every day and boots. And I feel like that's me. Like I don't wear hard hat and boots, but I wear hard hat and boots. Like that's how I approach the poetry. That's how I approach the art even. So the reason why I'm able to live for 30 years now as a poet is because of that hardworking, that ethic that I got from my father. And from my mother who went to work every day too until she retired and she don't even know how not to work now, to be honest, even at 74. But that independent spirit is from him. Yeah.
Could you talk about the space that poetry like occupies in hip hop? Because that's like a big conversation now, especially with most Def comments about, you know, just Drake.
About the Drake,
and, you know,
which I agree.
Thing. And I agree to a certain extent as well. I heard Ebro's take on that as well, and I kind of agree with Ebro as well. But just about that balance, because I feel like back in the day, probably 80s, 90s, it was more like so rich about like poetry and just the importance of it, kind of like balancing out. It, like when I think about brothers like Black Ice and, you know, just that whole Def poetry jam like world, like talk about the importance of it today, you know, and just balancing out the scales.
That's deep. That's the roaring 90s, you know, so I came up in that scene. So 95 to 2000, that was before Def Poetry even happened. That's when I won the Apollo. So I was like a baby. I was like 22 or something like that. And I met Ice. I met Lamar. His name is Lamar. I met Lamar, Black Ice, when I was doing Def Poetry. We became friends during that time period. But like people like Ursula Rucker, you know, Willie Perdomo, Tony Medina, Asha Bandeli, Saul Williams, whose book I published first, you know, who's an icon in my generation as far as poets go. It was a community that was untouchable, man. It was something very special. And I remember Roger Guinevere Smith, the actor, coming from LA and moving to Brooklyn and saying, like, man, I came here for Brooklyn because I heard about y'all. You know, I remember Isaiah Washington being around us, the actor, and he was studying for Love Jones, and he was just around the scene, like checking in on us.
Love Jones did come out 97, right?
Something around there, yeah. We didn't really like that movie, to be honest. It was like, not the poets. The poets, you know, because we just like, that's corny. You know what I mean? All of us are just mad because we wanted it to be our poems, probably. You know, I like the movie now later. But when it came out, we was just like, ah, man. Because, you know, the whole snapping the fingers and the drums. Like, you know, I was on that rock scene in Detroit. I mean, in New York City. And I was from hip hop and drum and bass. I was doing drum and bass and jungle behind my work. And we were like pushing the envelope. Like Sharif Simmons, one of the other poets that I published. He was my first husband, but he was a great poet, like reminded me of Gil Scott-Heron. And we came up. The difference is, I think, for us, is that Sonia Sanchez, who's still with us, who's 89, alive and thriving out of Philly, but like Amiri Baraka, we had the last poets are still here. We were around them all the time. all the time. Like we were sitting there and like Amiri Baraka and Nikki Giovanni or Ntozake Shange could be in the room with you, or Hakeem Adabuti from Third World Press. So legends, you talking about I'm a legend, like I was raised by legends, like real legends. I'm trying to catch up to Nikki Giovanni and catch up to Lucille Clifton and Sonia Sanchez and these amazing writers and poets who came before me. But yeah, it's a special time. And then so for me, my first recording on hip hop was Nas. So for me to come out, so funny because I'm around, like I was around Yasin and Talib, Common, all of us. Common wasn't that famous yet. You know what I mean? He was famous. He had like a, what was his band? Black girl named Becky. I think that's his band, out of Chicago. He was known, but still, it wasn't like how he is now. Like he's in Hollywood movies. He was like an action star now, I think, or something crazy. But we were all on the, like Dead Prez. We were all on open mics together. So I was, as a poet, I didn't care. I'm from Detroit, so I was like, any microphone hot, I'm on it. I'm definitely not like that now. I should be more like that now. I should have a year of just doing that. But, now I have to make money. I don't know how we made money. We just were like always ready. Like, and so the poetry and hip hop, what I loved about New York City is that it was a combined culture. But I came out the hip hop scene in Detroit. So I was around Proof, Dilla, all them, Baten, Slum Village. Like, I didn't know Eminem well, but Proof was one of my closest and best friends. I think I used to see him, but he was quiet. He never really talked to me. But Dilla was my friend. I know him as John Doe.
Talk about being in his mother's basement on the east side.
Come on, right? Back in the day, and we didn't know. You know what I mean? Like you don't know. And then he went to New York, and then people are like, I'm in New York. Then he's connected with all my people, like Erykah Badu and Yasin and Tribe Called Quest, and people that I was around in New York City. And I was like, oh, he went connected with the same people that I'm connected to.
They said Dilla sound is like legendary.
It's a worldwide legendary. It's crazy. Yeah, and there's no sound like it. I just did the jazz festival, thanks to Kareem Riggins, great producer, and who I did Common's last two records, Beautiful Revolution 1 and 2, not just because of Rashid and for Common, but because Kareem from Detroit reached out to me. So they were real happy. So yeah, so hip hop. So my entrance into that world, besides just being a part of the culture, was Nas. And of all the rappers, that wouldn't be the one that I would think would put me on a record first, to be honest. But I love him. I got to see Nas last year to tell him thank you, to tell him I love him. That I said, I've been on a lot of rappers' albums since then. I said, but you were the first. He said, let him know, and I would love to work with him. Like he was actually supposed to sign me to Illware Records, and I had the manager at the time. Unfortunately, like the relationship kind of fizzled, and as it does in the industry, and it didn't happen. But that's somebody I'd like to work with again. Actually, is Nas. I think he's just brilliant. He's one of my favorite rappers.
Even for somebody to still be in the game so long, still dropping albums with Hit Boy, he reinvented himself. It's like it's cold.
And his performances. Yeah, like, I was with him at Napa Valley, and I was like, yo, man. And I saw him. I flew into Chicago for the Wu-Tang tour because Talib was on tour with Dilla. It's funny, that tour is Wu-Tang Clan, De La Soul, Nas. And I was like, I have recorded with all of them. Members of the Wu-Tang, I recorded with Sons of Man in the 90s. And I recorded, of course, with Talib. And Common was there. He showed up because it was Chicago. But De La was the only ones. I was like, what's up, Pasta News? Like, I ain't done nothing with De La yet. But, they've given me some platforms. You know what I mean? And so, hip-hop isn't always the best space for a woman, especially a woman like me, that I'm not taking off my clothes. You know what I mean? I'm not pressed to be on nobody records. I'm not about to be, it's like I'm on Jeezy's record because the producer reached out and said, we want you on Jeezy's album. I was like, I had to go Google. Like I knew Jeezy, but I didn't know his music that much. Not as much as some people. But I knew Detroit loved Jeezy.
Yeah.
So listen, my best friend was
last night at the 42 Doug concert.
Exactly. Charlotte was like, you better get on that record. I was like, okay, I'm gonna get on the record. And I love him. I got to interview him this year in 2023 when I was a guest anchor on Live in the D with Tati, and he came, just happened to be on that week. Him and LL Cool J. I interviewed both of them that week.
I seen that.
That was crazy. Of all the times I'm hosting, I'm like, thank you, ancestors. I want to talk to LL Cool J, and I want to talk to Jeezy.
I do have a question. Who are your top 5 poets, and who are your top 5 like rap poets?
Okay, so top 5 poets as far as living of all time. So it's so far.
Or who influenced you,
Sonia Sanchez, Audre Lorde, Nikki Feeney. Oh my God, there's so many. Top 5 is hard with poets. But Sonia, Ntozake Shange, oh my God, Sonia Sanchez, Nikki Feeney, Nikki Giovanni. That's already 5. So it's too many. Those are like legends though. So contemporary ones like Ursula Rucker, Saul Williams, Amir Suleiman, Sonny Patterson. Who am I missing? There's a lot of them. Worcestershire, she's amazing. I even brought books. Oh yeah, and it's like, look, I brought her book with me. She's amazing. Y'all get to know her work. Her work, she wrote the poems that for the Lemonade Project with Beyonce. Amazing poet. Look, I brought poets. Look, I be bringing books with me. Girls Never Die. Sophia, she's a amazing poet as well. Like, Terrence Hayes. I love us. As far as rap, I don't know what a rap poet is.
Someone that's more lyrical, like a lyrical rapper, like somebody that's really like a lyricist, like a KRS-One.
Saul Williams, one of my top. Saul's incredible. Omari Hardwick is good too. He just put out a record.
Destiny. I just listened to it. It was really nice.
Okay, Omari, I see you out there.
Yeah, I miss him as Ghost. But
I would say Amir Suleiman's in that category too. Sonny Patterson for sure. She's one of my favorites. Jay Ivy is one of my he's definitely in that space. But honestly, one of my top favorites is Tango Ice and Martin. He might be my favorite, to be honest. If y'all don't know Tango, he was the San Francisco Poet Laureate. He's got books out, but he definitely is a balance of like poetry and hip hop in a way. He's brilliant. Yeah, tell Tango, for sure.
Yeah, you put me on a lot of great.
Oh, I would happily send you a list because I'm not even saying a third of the people. I mean, Stacey Ann Chen, Lisa Jesse Peterson. I mean, there's so many that are out here that are just killers. But poets, we have to make space. Either you still in or you're not. Brad Walron, amazing poet. I need to acknowledge him. He's the first poet. So I have More Black Press. I've had that since '97, but now I have in 2024, More Black Press is going to be More Black Press HarperCollins. So I got an imprint deal with Harper. So I'm publishing my first poet, Brad Walron, amazing poet out of New York City. So his book Everywhere Alien is coming out in July.
Can you talk about the importance? Because this is something that just hit me, and when you're talking about the one poet, her collaboration with Beyonce's Lemonade. Yeah, it makes me think about how a lot of creatives collaborate with a lot of big movies and different stories, how they bring in the artist, they bring in the poet. I saw you working in collaboration with the New Color Purple that they had, and then Oprah, they brought in the therapist, they brought in Dr. Tama Bryant, they bring in all these people to help them write the story and work in it. What's the importance of having these artists and these different thought leaders in these projects to really make it come alive? Because just having the cameras and the infrastructure and the money doesn't. You got to have the people who really have the boots on the ground.
Listen, what you're saying is so important. Blitz the Ambassador, who directed The Color Purple, is I know him as an MC. I know he's a rapper. I'm he hasn't had a big feature film. So for them, Steven Spielberg, Oprah, to put that torch in Blitz's hand and give him the opportunity to direct this piece on this level. I was more excited about Blitz than anything else in the movie. I'm Blitz is directing. Because that would be I'm directing. Yeah. For real. That's gangster. I would like to see more of that in Hollywood. I know Omari, Hardwick, is definitely always, consider himself a poet, and he's a wonderful actor, and he's a good friend of mine. And so, we need to elevate that category of spoken word. I'm going after the Grammy in 2025. I helped, Jay Ivy worked, and we all helped. And me, Malcolm Jamal Warner, Amir Suleiman, Ursula Rucker, all of us were doing events to get the Grammys to understand that poets who perform their work deserve the category. Yeah. We never had one before. So, I haven't even put anything in yet. I did for the last 2 years. I'm coming, though, for it in 2025. But, it's important to have the thought leaders. Even when Rosa Clemente, who's a artist activist, was the film that was based on Fred Hampton's assassination and his life. She was brought on as a consultant, but she's a real activist in real time. That we all know Fred Hampton Jr. And so it's important to they need us to make the work authentic. And that would go back to what the issue with Love Jones was. For us, we were kind of they get it, but they don't. You know what I mean? Because we weren't corny. And that's what I'm saying. Poets ain't corny. We're not corny. Not the ones that I rock with. We're not corny. We more hip hop than not. You know what I mean? I have more in common, I think, with Nas or a Jeezy than I do somebody that's just a nerd. Though I am a nerd. I am absolutely a nerd, and I read lots of books. But also, they are too. So the best hip hop artists, who I love, Rakim, is an intellect. You know, these are intellects. These are not people who just like street people. These are like intellects that read books. Like Rakim shows me so much love for years. Anytime I'm in the room, like just Jessica, you know what I mean? Respect. And I haven't recorded with him. He's on the list. But yeah, it's important that we make space. Space was made for me, you know. I appreciate the hip hop artists. You know, shout out to Talib Kweli, who's made the biggest space for me. He signed me in 2015, put out my first real record, my jazz soul project, Black Tea, which has Jose James on it, which has one of my favorite MCs of all time, Wordsworth. I would consider Wordsworth like a rap poet because he's lyrical. He did, y'all should know him, Master Ace and Wordsworth and that whole crew out of New York City. But he's one of the, to me, most gifted. One Below, to me, is a poet. That's a rapper. Shout out to Pontiac, Binary Star. It's a great MC if you don't know him. And Good Brother, we were in Egypt last year because I get my son out of here as much as I can over the Christmas break. And he's in Egypt. He's from Pontiac, but he's over in Egypt with his family. And he took care of us while we were there. So there's a lot of MCs that are not famous that are like really incredible, and a lot of poets that aren't as well. You know, some poets fell off that were great in the 90s. Some of them, a lot of them became academics who are teachers. Tony Medina, incredible poet, didn't fall off. He's putting out books, and he's a teacher at Howard University. You know, so if you got a baby going to Howard, make sure he takes the Tony Medina poetry class.
So how did poetry just like fade away from the scene? Because it was like, you know, deaf poetry jam. Yeah. And like when I was in college, I went to Central State, it's HBCU. Okay. So we had a lot of poets nights at Friday nights. That was like the last time I've been to an open mic. Okay. Ever since I came home, I probably went to one, but like, why is the poetry scene not that big anymore?
I think it is. You probably just outgrown it. Yeah. Yeah, you I've outgrown it. You know what I mean? You can't just stay there. It's a place where you have poetry scenes, and open mics are a place for community when you're growing. To me, it's not the place where you land. It's not supposed to be there for you no more. Like it's there for somebody else. Like it's for like 7 to my son, like to like 30. That's it, y'all. You know what I mean? Like, if you're getting into your, like, in your 30s, you shouldn't be on open mics anymore. You should be having books out. You should have recordings out. You should be writing one woman and one solo shows. You should be. I wrote my first feature film. You should be writing films, you should be producing events. We need people to curate this culture. Like, we can't just be on the open mic. For one, you can't make any money. And you got to become the feature. You know what I mean? You got to like get, and you can't keep doing the same poems. Like the open mics, I stopped going because I can't go and listen to the same poem you did last week. When I was in Brooklyn at Brooklyn Moon Cafe, this is when all of us were like, none of us were signed to anything. We were just out here. Every week we came back with new poems. You could not walk back up in the Brooklyn Moon Cafe on a Friday night talking about, I'm about to read this poem that I killed with last week. Right. No. If everybody already know the poem and the hook, it's time for you to stop doing that poem. And I know people that have been doing that, and they grown, they need to stop. They 40. Stop. You in your 40s. I know that poem because you wrote it 20 years ago. Stop doing it.
Do you feel like there could be like a new type of way to structure, maybe not even an open mic night, but like a way to put it together to make it profitable for these legendary poets or poets that are more seasoned, so they can't do an open mic night like the comedians do with the comedy clubs, how they buy the comedy clubs and like have them set up all around. Like,
and we don't have poetry clubs, right? I had one. We don't. Like in Atlanta, I had more the Poetry Planet, so I had a club in Atlanta. It was hard, but I had one. They're hard, but we need that. That's exactly what we need. We need like spaces that support the art form on a regular basis, right? Also, music helps. That's how I make a living. I mean, I make music, and so I learned as a poet, instead of just doing book signings with just a small group of like 30 or 50 people, I wanted to do concerts. So I started writing music and working with musicians. And, you know, the last show I wrote an opera. So my opera, Wild Beauty, was at the Detroit Symphony Orchestra's Black Box space. And so you have to write yourself into these spaces that really do belong to you, but no one told you that they did. So I didn't know that I could write libretto. I'm a little black girl from West Side Detroit. I can write opera. Libretto is just poetry. Somebody singing it. And so I was like, decided that I'm gonna write libretto. So I have a full-length opera that I'm working on now that I'm gonna work on more this summer once I get my son settled. Somewhere my whole brain's gonna go once I know my son is in a learning institution where he wants to be and having fun on his own without his mom so close by. But yeah, I think we have to think bigger. You know, like I see spaces. I used to go, I say, I want that stage. I want that. I was in Atlanta, like I want Symphony Hall. I want this. And I performed at all of them. I'm at Carnegie Hall. I said, I'm performing at Carnegie. And I performed at Carnegie Hall. And so Detroit, I'm trying to think of the only place I haven't performed. I can't remember. I think I've performed everywhere. I don't know a venue. I've done the Opera House. I've done the Fillmore. I've done the Fox, but I haven't done the Fox Theater the way that I could do the Fox Theater. But I have done it, but not in a big way. So maybe that's the only venue I haven't performed at. Maybe that venue ain't for me, or I don't care about that venue so much. I haven't figured it out. But most other spaces, I feel like they all belong to me. Like I performed with the Detroit Symphony Orchestra last year for Classical Roots with Devon Tynes, one of the most famous opera singers of y'all generation. And it was mind-blowing and amazing. But, to have me in that space writing what I wanted to write, not something someone told me to write or what do you want to write, Jessica? And we were writing about white audiences. And Devon is a beautiful black opera singer who's young, who's always looking at white folks in his audience. And so we actually wanted to address that. And I don't know if they even knew we were doing it until the middle of the poem. They were like, oh, wow. Because I was like, you here for the show? Okay, this ain't a show though. And we're not here to entertain you. And to say that with the Detroit Symphony Orchestra behind me was pretty phenomenal. So, limitless, we got to be no boundaries. And we have to be curators of the culture, not just participants.
When you talk about just industry work, but obviously not being constricted to just saying other people's words, how do you tell somebody else's story? Like, what helps you with that process? Do you kind of need to understand what they're trying to convey? Like, do you need them to give you a rundown of the history? Like, what helps you tell the story of somebody else?
I don't know. I feel like I'm always writing my own story, and my own story is connected to other people. So, We Want Our Bodies Back, my 5th book, is for Sandra Bland. I never met Sandra Bland. I just saw her story, felt connected to her, felt her cries for help, listened to her talking to that police officer the way that I've had to talk to police officers, and I felt myself connected to her. She wasn't I was trying to speak for her, but Sandra Bland didn't leave me. She was haunting me, and I needed to write a poem. So We Want Our Bodies Back came out, and I was crying writing this poem, just trying to say what, how she felt in that moment. But it's never me, I got to do an interview with anybody. I'm spiritually connected to people. I've written poems for Ozzie Davis and Ruby Dee, after they died, who were big influences on my art. And I didn't have to talk to them about that. I just talk about who they are, and I just tap in. But it's ancestral and it's spirit. So poetry to me is a balance of gift and craft.
How do you stay motivated to do the activist work? Because I saw you when you did Talib's podcast, the People's Party, People's Party, and you was talking about going to a rally and the cops just being at gunpoint essentially.
In Ferguson, we went to Ferguson together. Me, Talib, and Rosa Clemente. Yeah, we all went down there because we got tired of looking at it on TV, and we went down there before any of the cameras were down, before any other artists. We were some of the first artists on the ground down there. But I have been going to St. Louis, and I taught inside the juvenile detention centers there. So I knew the kids. So I knew how the kids felt about the police presence down there in Ferguson. So I was like, I got to just go. And I had King was young, so I was leaving. I'm a single parent, so I was leaving my kid to go, be around some really unsafe environment. I didn't realize it was the first time of all the years. I've been an activist since I was in high school. When Malice Green was killed here, I was on the streets. When this store owner killed this Raphael Dent on the east side for stealing an annihilator, I was protesting then. I was 18 years old.
I never heard none of them
19.
stories.
Yeah, that was a baby. Y'all were not here.
Not what you thought of.
No. And so, I've been doing it for such a long time. But I never felt like I was going to die until I went to Ferguson. I was like, oh, they going to kill me. I'm looking at this little white girl with this big AR-15, she could barely hold the thing in her hand.
These are civilians?
No, these are the
police.
cops.
Yeah. Oh.
No, that's who I thought was going to kill me was the cops. It wasn't the civilians. We was doing ciphers with the civilians. That was their neighborhood. They were like, Miss Jessica, they telling us to leave our neighborhood, but to go home. But shit, my house right there. We at home. What they doing here? So there were tanks in the middle of the street in Ferguson. And, they let Mike Brown bleed out on purpose, to traumatize those young black boys and girls in that neighborhood. Yeah. So they just let them sit there and bleed out. And so that was deep. And we got ambushed by the police. It's on purpose. Is what they do is they wait until the cameras are off or whatever. Yes. And then, when people are kind of peacefully leaving, and then somebody threw a water bottle into the crowd. It's like some kind of person that they told to do it. You know, the police got all kinds of folks undercover working with them, and it just created mayhem. So they create mayhem on purpose so that everyone loses each other. So that was the thing. I was like, why are they? Nothing was happening. I was like, why? And then the police just started getting information, and she's like, they're about to rush us, and they just started rushing. And so a lot of my friends, they went to jail. They got beat up by the police. And they just told us to get down. We weren't doing nothing. We're like walking, running. We don't know. You don't want to run. You get scared. You know, you running from the police. They're going to shoot us in the back. What are they about to do to us? And so I'm trying to get Talib's hand. We're trying to stay close to each other. And it's to create pandemonium. It's on purpose, you know. But there were mothers out there. There were children out there in Ferguson. You know what I mean? They were like, it was crazy. And so, yeah, we had to get face down on the cement. And, they put the AR-15s to our back, and they just stood there. We weren't doing nothing, like literally peacefully protesting, and about to do a cipher. You know, I'm there with a rapper. They're like, "Yo, what's up?" You know, we're like trying to commune with the young people that are there, and it wasn't until, and then this young girl was the activist. We pulled her back down, like get down. She was trying to move too much, and then this black cop walked up and looked at us and said, like, you know, they good, let them go. But once you have experienced that, man, like that was like I just got up and I was like, what just happened to us? And I couldn't really talk about it. I didn't cry until I got back home like 2 days later. And the next day I remember, you know, Kweli looking at me and was like, you want to go back out? And I was like, not really, but I'm going to go. You know, but it shook my spirit. Because I got my kid at home, you know, real talk. And then Sonia Sanchez was mad at me. She said, you know, you're supposed to hit your phone numbers you're supposed to call us, you know, and tell us that what you're doing so that something happens to you that we know, you know. And I'm like, you know, so it was a learning experience. And then when George Floyd got killed during the pandemic, I was like, go millennials, go. Y'all go, man. Listen, I've been doing this for a long time. Like, it's time for y'all to step in. And I saw them step up, black, white, Asian, other, whatever. They got in these streets for George Floyd, and I was really, really proud, you know, really proud. But, the past, I was like, I'm not going back out there like that. I felt like my work as an activist is not in that space. If I have to, I will. But
that's tough.
It's tough. Yeah.
Yeah,
man.
my
you
brother
gotta be prepared for that type of stuff. Because really,
the AR-15 is a very large gun.
They already like strategized to they already practiced for this to happen. Like if this
That's
ever
what
happens,
that was.
Yeah. If this ever happens, they know what to do because they practice these type of things. So it's like we just going out of there out of emotion, anger, and love, not knowing what we're getting ourselves to. That's why I never went out there. Protesting is very dangerous. It is because you're all out of emotion. You're just doing it out of emotion. And these people are really prepared and trained.
Oh yeah.
So it's like you got to be very careful.
I've done it for so many years. Amadou Diallo. I mean, in New York, like I've been doing it for such a long time. So I just felt like my work as an activist, my voice is well served inside jails and prisons. Inside my work, focusing on the poet, focusing on being a voice for women that needs, you know, being a voice and advocate for young people, you know, doing that kind of work.
Voice for women. I'm glad we got a woman on.
Yeah, because you know y'all don't have enough women. I saw it. I was looking at the podcast. I was like, I'm glad I'm coming.
We trying to be intentional about it. That's something we talk about all the time.
Okay.
And
I can help.
I want you to talk to our generation of women.
Okay.
I want you to talk to our generation.
I don't even know how old you are.
28.
Okay. Yeah.
How do we get like our generation women to be like more modest? You know,
well, they gotta be modest.
I ain't gonna say modest, but like just more. I guess like they are respectful.
Yeah.
But just more.
How are the men of your generation? Are they modest?
Yeah, no, we not.
Oh, okay. I'm just wondering, you know, how y'all doing? Oh, okay.
But I'm go ahead and play devil's advocate. You know what I'm saying? But how
modest? I think we don't need modesty. I think we just need more mentoring.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we need. I like to see more young women bossy in a different kind of way, like entrepreneurs, owners. I think they out here too. I would imagine. I would say that
there's a lot of them out here.
Yeah, the late 20s. You're 28, so I'm definitely know some in that generation, and definitely a lot of folks in their 30s that are killing it. You know, as far as like in the marketing world, in this world, podcast world. You know,
yeah, they are.
I don't know about modesty. I don't know if we need more modesty. I think we need just more self-care and self-love for the women out here to love themselves, that they present themselves, not in a modest way, but in an excellent way, you know, and and to be like walk in, like, they don't know who they are. Like I see the little black girls, and I'm talking about little girls that go to these high schools, and they don't know how powerful they are, right? I knew, like when I was 17, I knew I could stop my boys from going to a drive-by shooting. I knew I had that power, and it wasn't because I was opening up my legs. I wasn't sleeping with none of them, but because of that, and because of that, I had a good relationship with them, a friendship with them that, you know, that I know I helped save their lives because they would listen to me. So girls have a lot of power, especially black girls with black boys. They have to understand their power. And I think modesty comes with, like, you know, it comes with age. It comes with maturity. You know, a lot of it, you know, we're showing this and showing that.
Yeah.
I remember your young sister said to me, well, we got to show it while we got it. I was like, but if you only knew, it gets better. If you only knew, it ain't right now. It ain't when you 18, 19, certainly ain't when you're in your 20s. No, this is just the training ground for becoming.
And the women get colder, especially in their 30s.
They get what?
They get colder, especially in their 30s.
Yeah,
they be looking
then,
fine.
And then when you, because you're 28, when you're 38, you realize when they're 40, it's like, wow.
They look more good.
Yeah.
But they keep themselves up, you know.
And it's about how they're taking care of themselves inside.
Movement. I like how you said that earlier. The movement.
Move your body, and you also have to, like, be spiritually grounded. Yes. You know, it takes a lot to be grounded. You know, I mean, and y'all have, like, we didn't have, like, the internet and Instagram and Facebook, all these things, all this very, very competitive space where you have to look good all the time.
Yeah,
so all these filters and things, and when you're like, you don't look like that, you know. So it's probably hard. It's a lot of peer pressure that I didn't experience because we didn't have that. You know, I didn't have to. We had magazine covers, but it wasn't like, you know, these girls. And I mean, I look at them too. I'm like, oh, okay, that's what you got. That's it. I mean, I've been looking at, like, all the pictures of that's just your ass. Like, is that all? You know what I mean? Because that's not that interesting. It's interesting to a point. And I mean, and then that's not gonna be interesting forever. Like, what's gonna be interesting when you in your 60s and 70s and 80s? I know some bad sisters. Nona Hendrix is incredible, inside and out, fine as hell, and she's might be, I don't tell her age, but she's definitely in her late 70s.
It wasn't Angela Bassett look good.
She's amazing, and I've seen her up close. She's fine. Wine. She's gorgeous. So, like, the whole age thing. So, like, you know, because when I was 28, I was together. So it depends on the life experience. And at 28, I'd already traveled all over the world, though. So I saw myself in the world. A lot of these girls only see themselves on their block. They only see themselves in their city. You know, I went to London on my first tour in London when I was 22. So I was like, oh, black girls are everywhere. Black girls are in Brazil. Black girls are in Morocco. Black girls in Africa. Black girls in Asia. Oh wait, we everywhere?
That does make sense. You know, it changes. It changes your perspective and how you carry yourself. No,
but I don't know how mature the brothers are in their 20s either.
I mean,
it's probably like a generational thing.
Yeah, I mean, no.
Or you got to date older. You know, like that's, you know, you got to realize where you got to deal with people that are mentally and spiritually on the same.
I don't know if I wanted to date an older woman. That's
not like 50 and 60 years old. You know what I'm saying?
No, not even. I don't know, like 35. I don't think I won't even go that far.
Yeah,
probably 30. 31. No higher than that.
Yeah.
I understand what you're talking about.
I've dated all over the spectrum. I should not speak on this matter.
I would date. Younger. I would take a chick out that's like 35, 38, but like serious, no. I wouldn't take a chick older than me.
I
That's
understand
serious.
what you're talking about. I agree with you.
Not the 20s though. Y'all young. Y'all babies.
No, I understand what you're talking about. Though.
Yeah, but somebody that's on the same
level, mentally.
Because there's men my age that are not. That can't know, you know. And then it just, you know, depends. I was married before, and the guys were like closer in age to me than not. They're more like in the same generation than me. I like that people know that Tina Marie was a white woman, like just basic stuff, you know. That like if you don't know basic things, I'll be like, you too young. But I can't say energy wise because of my energy level. I have dated younger guys, which I don't have no problem with. But it's always ends up being a question of like intellect and children. So can they keep up intellectually? That's hard, no matter what the age. And then energy wise, you know what I mean? Like, can you keep, and then passport and, you know, access to travel. So like things I've changed. So by what I want changes. Yes. So what you want now is going to change anyway. Yeah. For the later depends on, you know, you guys are young, so you don't have children or nothing yet.
I have a daughter.
So. You have a daughter? You're a daddy. So you have to have, boots on the ground. I don't somebody that's very, very like foundationally, spiritually centered. How old is your baby?
She'll be 2 next week.
You got a little baby. That's beautiful. And you got a daughter. You don't have no money. money gone.
She
gonna get everything. Yeah, she should. I was a daddy's girl, so I couldn't. My daddy just.
I mean, my dad did the same thing to my sisters. I have 7 sisters, so.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
You
so
needed that.
Yeah, we come from like. So my family's from Mississippi, so it's 10 of us.
Okay.
So we come from that old school,
like
down south type of tradition.
I like it. 10 of y'all.
Yeah, but all about the same mom and dad.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh, so that's fun too.
Yeah, it was. It still is.
Yeah, that's a book.
Yeah,
that's a book. You should write that. About 10 of y'all.
It'd be a good book
that's
too.
That's a good book. 7 sisters, gangster. I have 5. Now we just found another brother, so I have 6 brothers.
Okay.
6 older brothers. So yeah, and then 2 sisters.
I wanted to ask you, what do you feel like is the most powerful word and why?
Powerful word?
Mm-hmm.
Freedom. Yep. I don't know if it's the most powerful word, but it's the most powerful way to be. You know, like I've been free for a long time. So that's not having to go to work. I mean, if you could find a way to like do what you love and not have to go answer to anybody every day and clock in and get in some traffic. Being free like that.
It's something else.
Yeah. I mean, it's kept me young. It's kept me healthy. I think that a lot of the mental health issues we endure, a lot of my friends who work jobs and have to deal with people who are like not spiritually centered, who are there as soon as you walk in, you already got to deal with somebody else's energy that's not in the right place.
Spiritual warfare.
Come on.
What was a couple weeks ago? I said you said not everybody, but I said I think it's wrong to say that what I said, but like I was like I think a lot of people in corporate, not narcissists, but they go through some. They're not mentally there. Like it's like you're a program.
Yeah, you're a machine.
You're a machine. Yeah.
And that's powerful that you said you come in and they just waiting to give you that negative energy,
ruin your
and
day.
you just got a war with them. Just
I'm glad I don't have to deal with that.
That's one of the hardest things for me with school, like having to come to an environment that you have to go to, that you know you're gonna be around people that's not on the same wavelength.
Yeah.
Like you're putting yourself in an unbalanced wavelength every single day. You know what I'm saying? Classroom, sometimes it could be the household for students. Like you constantly have to go to some place where you can't leave or you have to do it.
My son is here. He can't see that on camera, but he's 17. But if he was here, I know he's saying amen, Ashe, because I mean, he said, I remember talking about his headphones one time and he couldn't find his headphones. I said, do you have to have your headphones? He said, yes, I have to have my headphones. Like if he didn't have his headphones, he's like, for me to walk into this environment and not have my headphones, I would not be able to function. And I didn't understand. Like, so I get, like, he's got to find a way to even tune out. And I remember he was at Jesu. We bounced around a lot of schools. We had to get away from the Catholic schools. They were just horrible.
And all the schools, I was thinking.
Whatever. They could change. You know,
I definitely think that's
everyone can
Jesu
change.
right there,
I
right
believe
there.
in forgiveness and change. But check into it. It was all right. That's where he only went there for 1 year, just his 8th grade year. And I remember him saying to me, is this a school or a prison? You know, and I was like, why are you asking me that? And he was, junior high school. He was like, I can't turn my head to the left, to the right. You know, I can't. It's like he couldn't even move. He's like, I got to sit in this desk and look straight. I was like, why is that? Why do I have to do that to learn? But you don't. But this is what they do to our babies. This mediocre education system. Yeah.
I mean, some of the kids feel like that today when we're in the classroom, but also what I try to tell them is it's a way of discipline. Just taking order. You still have to take some type of order or direction. So they probably don't like it. But it's like, well, if you want to be an entrepreneur, you still have to learn how to take some type of direction for yourself.
Sure.
So I get it.
I don't believe in the class. I don't believe in the desk going straight in the classroom.
Oh no, what you mean like this?
I don't believe the setup.
Oh no, I don't either. I feel like
setup is horrible.
I definitely feel like there should be more critical thinking, more free, creative space.
I don't believe in the desk.
Oh,
in the
yes.
front, with the person in the front and the people looking at the person.
Okay.
So anytime I'm in a classroom and I do teach and I do residency work, everyone's in a circle.
Yeah. Oh,
you got all the classes
we do
should
pods.
be in a circle. They should all be like that. They should never be straight and looking at one person because it's a community, the classroom. So it's a cipher.
Yeah.
So put the kids in ciphers. You will have, I'm telling you, these kids
more fun.
They will have more fun and they will listen because then you have another person to look at, and it's okay if you looking at somebody and it's inhumane.
Yeah, be creative. I know.
Not for 8 hours 6 to 8 hours in a day. You looking straight.
So I want to ask you because that just hit a point for me. Do you feel like more artists need to be involved in the educational system because they're involved in movies, they're involved in films, but it hasn't like infiltrated the education.
Well, some of us are in it because we have to knock down the door. So just let me say in Detroit, like I was really pissed off that nobody was asking me to come into their schools. So I was making I was knocking on doors. Like I know I'm here, right? Y'all know I'm a famous poet. Like, so we want our bodies back is not in the school system. Like right now, makes no sense. I have talked to all the higher ups. I'm waiting. I'm not doing a presentation about it. They need to order We Want Our Bodies Back at Detroit Public Schools so that kids coming out freshman year, all the kids should have my books. They shouldn't have to go to college and get a cool professor and say, oh, by the way, you're from Detroit? Do you know who Jessica Care Moore is? They should already be like, yeah, we know who she is. They should know all my work.
8th grade students definitely should do that.
All of them, 8th grade, they need to be learning. So, and then you have, artists in schools, yes, I believe in it. I've been inside Western, DSA, and Cody, more hands-on as a dream director, but all them kids became poets. We did a Black History Month program at Western that never happened before. So yeah, we're necessary, but the problem is who gonna pay for it?
Did you inspire T Grizzly? Because he went to Cody.
I love T Grizzly. No, it inspired him.
I'm not saying because you was a dream.
He went there. No, he wasn't there when I was there. Okay. He was a grown rapper. I know him as a grown man and being a rapper. Okay. So no, and he went there. Dwayne went there. Stacey Howwax Hale went there. Nikki Gilbert, the lead singer of Brownstone, went there.
Okay.
So folks went there. Detroit. Yeah, she's from the D. She's in my film. She's in my film. He looked like a postcard. My film is gonna come out this year, by the way. My feature film, and it's all poetry. It's my poetry, and yeah, it's all in my imagination. But it's based on a poet coming home with her son to Detroit and trying to find a way back to her voice and find a way to make a living as a poet, which is what poets should be able to do. But but a way for poets and writers to make a living in their cities is for the school systems to hire them to bring them in. I think there should be a poet and writer in every school. Every school should have it. Like Inside Out is a program here that brings poets in, but it should be every school should have a person like me inside the school. I'm a lot of energy. I could take on 3 schools. I had 3 schools at one time. I had DSA, Cody, and Western at one time, and was rocking with kids, all of them, and took different days, and I figured it out. It was hard, but I care. You know,
you feel like they should open up a position for that,
yes.
or is it like
it should be a poet in residence?
Like
they do in New York. They got writers and poets inside schools in New York City.
We
Detroit
the school system definitely.
Because I like that idea, and I work with a lot of the foundation that I work for. They work with a lot of the Detroit schools. Okay, so I would love to put something like that together.
Well, let's figure it out.
Absolutely,
and I think it's just about getting in front of the school board and getting in front of VD and saying this is what's viable. But I know for them. It's all about money. It's all about who's gonna pay for it. But they just got a bunch of money.
They got the funding. That's what I'm saying. They got that funding.
They
got that money.
But who's gonna get it? And so I would like to see the trickle down to make sure that because I went to Cody, right? When I was at Cody though, we had a black box theater. That black box theater changed my life. Susan Store. We had like Troupe des Arts. We had a drama troupe there. We had visual art classes. This is Cody. It's not Cass, not Renaissance. It's just regular Cody Joy Road, right? But we had all the things there. But all the schools deserve all the things. Some of the Dilla Foundation we're in there in a couple schools. I want the Dilla Foundation be in all schools. I think all these schools need recording studios. Yeah, they need they need the arts. And where are the marching bands? Like we used to have, we had battle of the bands used to be crazy. What? Cody versus McKenzie versus King versus Cass.
McKenzie gone. Ain't that tore that down? It's like what I see happening is it probably will be only 3 or 4. Maybe Detroit high schools left because a lot of these outskirt schools are getting more of the inner city kids. Yeah. So you look at Southfield, Belleville, Madison. They're going out there now because they have the big football programs and things like that.
That's why we end up at private schools as well. But I think because of gentrification, and I'm just being honest, because there's more white folks in our city now, they're going to try to fix the school system.
You see on Davidson, they taking over Davidson. Slowly but
Davidson?
Man, what? They over there on Davidson.
Davidson, that's crazy.
Yeah, slowly but surely.
I saw white folks on Rosa Parks, because I live in Boston Edison, and so there's a coffee house, the Congregation, which I love a lot. But I used to see, when I see a lot of white folks drinking coffee at Rosa Parks, I was like, this is interesting. This is where the riots were up the street, and I don't mind it as long as we're part of the conversation.
Yes, but we're not right now.
Yeah, on Livernois we are though.
Well, Livernois, we do got that down pat. I was telling my girl like, yo, we need to move over here because I'm from Linwood Pearson, so we not far from there. So we used to always be on Livernois.
Avenue Fashion, shout out to them, man, and
good times.
Yeah, come on, all of them.
Cuzzo's over there. You got the 313 shop.
Caesar's boutique. I shop there.
Yeah, it's a taco. It's a black taco shop over there.
Vegan Trap.
Vegan Trap is over there. I go there all the time. Yeah. Vegan Trap.
I know the taco place.
They good. They gonna be so good.
it's that's what I mean. We need that everywhere though.
Yeah, we do.
So
but that's really Black Bottom again.
It is nice.
It's beautiful over there. I remember when Illinois didn't have that aisle right there. I'm like, why are they building this crap? I'm like, this is beautiful. They thought it out for sure.
But we do have Black ownership here, and I know people don't talk about that. Yes. Like, and I go to other cities, like you don't see Black ownership. We do have Nefertiti's that owns Textures. I'm gonna say shout out to New Center area because my girls there with cooking the Q's cooking with the Q's with kitchen with the Q. I'm saying her spot right. The kitchen with Q, the Q spot. The vegan spot is there. Then we have Baobab, which is Burundi owned, so it's Black owned. So that strip on the boulevard in New Center is also another Black strip of businesses. Young Village is there. So
Young Village, I had that before.
Go to Baobab, it's really great, amazing food.
Young Village on Woodward.
And it's on Woodward, and it's right on the corner. It's like the Boulevard and Woodward. I'm saying the Boulevard, but it actually is Woodward where it is, Woodward and the Boulevard. So New Center, they got like that's a little strip right there where we pop in. But we need more of that. And on the west side, I think that's I've heard about this Rose Cafe that my sister Charity Dean is a part of that I'm gonna go see for the first time. Yeah, man. Like,
the shoe doctor on Illinois too as well.
The shoe doctor is on Illinois.
Yeah, I'm actually from Flint, so I don't really know too much about like Detroit, what's going on.
I made a baby with Flint. That's how King got here. I was married to a Flintstone. Shout out to Flint.
Yeah, but it seems like the same thing. A lot of the bigger schools closed down, and like Northwestern Central.
They didn't have the population. They didn't have the kids.
Yeah, so they shut down a big school and then moved them all into one school. So Southwestern doesn't exist anymore.
That's what
neither does Northwestern. They call it I forgot what they call it, FIA, something like that.
I don't know.
Yeah,
that sounds like trap. Just traps and maze they're trying to create.
And it's like it's tough when you like shut two schools down that never got along, and then now they're all at the
same gang culture and all that kind of stuff. So it was a problem at Cody because Cody was it 3 schools at one time. It didn't work. Exactly. It was horrible because the thing at the end of the day, it's one sports team. So you got 3 schools, and one school is getting less than the other school in the same building. Come on, but it's the same sports team.
That's deep. I didn't even think about you got 10-star players and you only got 5 starting spots for the basketball team. It's like I didn't think about that. That's actually that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, because we were supposed to combine because I went to Southfield Lathrop for high school. Okay. We were supposed to combine with Southfield High when I was in high school, but they did it a couple years ago. But I mean, they just won states, but we were supposed to do that back then. I always thought about that. Like,
did you know Brenda Perryman, the theater teacher?
No, my theater teacher were Shinky, Miss Shinky, and I did. Now that's one thing it was a culture shock. I went to Detroit Public School. I went to Halle, so that was like my last Detroit school. Then when I went to Southfield, I'm thinking I'm about to be around all white people.
All right. No, not in Southfield.
But I didn't know that though.
Yeah,
but
there.
I didn't know that though.
Like, black.
No, I didn't know that though. Like I'm like, what? I remember walking into school like, where all these black people come from? But I was in arts, and arts helped me a lot even through college. I even did my own web series, like just acting, but like even doing like Jesus Christ Superstar, the Lizzie Borden story. Like I was in these, I was in these type of.
Were you Jesus?
No, I was one of the soldiers, but it was very powerful. And the guy that played Jesus, oh my God, oh my God, and the guy that played one of the Pharisees, oh my God, they just killed it.
Have y'all seen Book of Clarence?
Yes, he's seen. I'm going to see it tonight. I'm going to see that tonight.
Keith is my favorite. It's me and my son's favorite right
now. I'm going to see that tonight. That's one of them things. I got me a sitter. So I'm
you got a sitter. You're going to see it. I found it. It was very interesting. I liked it. The end. I didn't expect the ending. So, but I do like the way they just took back Jesus, and I like seeing black folks in those biblical roles because they were black folks.
And I like have Hove. Hove was like kind of producer that because he's been killing these black movies. Even The Harder They Fall.
Tell Hove to call me because I need a producer for Postcard. Yeah, Hove, call me. I need a producer.
Hove, give her a call, man.
Yeah, he look like a Postcard. Detroit. He love Detroit. You know what's up.
It's funny that you said it because I think the best part in the movie for me, I think the brother's name was Baracus or something, the slave, the ex-slave, and
he was great. The one that couldn't get killed.
Yeah, when he threw the spear at him, like me and my brother was in the, we was like, as soon as I don't want to spoil it for nobody, but
right.
We were so hyped. I was just like, that's what we need. That's the importance of having black directors and like black storytellers because it's just like that's the part when we die, you know what I'm saying? And that's the point. That's the part when like they tear our spirit down. It's just like, no, build him up. I don't care if it's realistic or not. Right. We need to see him live.
That he didn't die.
Yeah, it's like we need to see him live right now. Like, and that it did something for me because it's just like, man, I've seen so many movies. Like, it's kind of like in that Roman in the Roman the amphitheater. I can't remember what they call the Coliseum, and they're like, live.
Yes.
And you kill them anyway. But in that part of the movie, it's like all the black people like live. And because the black man was in charge of it, it's like, we're going to let him live.
We're going to let him live.
That,
directing, and that because we're directing and we're
shout out to James Samuel. He did a hell of a job with that.
Yeah. No, he knows a lot. He knows a bunch of folks from Detroit because they were at the LA premiere. Some of my folks, Johnny Audible, and folks in the industry here were out there hanging out with him.
Yeah, I can't wait to watch. I'm definitely can't wait to watch it.
Yeah, let us know what you think.
I might call you right after. It's like, this junk is good.
But my last question, I wanted to ask you, what would you call this phase in your life? You know, through all the ups and downs and everything that the ups. We don't want to highlight the downs, but all the amazing experiences. What would you call this phase of your life?
The beginning. Yeah. I really feel like I'm just getting started. And it is because that's funny. I talked to Mumu Fresh, badass, MC and poet. If y'all not up on her, you should know her music. We both of our sons are going to school in the fall, right? He just got into North Carolina. So yeah, and so I'm trying to stay single, until my son goes to college. I say it as a joke, but I really am trying to stay focused on my career, my writing. I've always had an anchor. King has been my anchor. So I've traveled all over the world, but I've never been away from my son more. The longest I've been away from King was when he was very small. When I was with my brother, Radcliffe Bailey, rest in peace, amazing visual artist that they lost out of Atlanta. The art world lost, but he lived in ATL. He was a dear friend of mine, but I did a residency with him for 3 weeks, and my boyfriend at the time was really close with King, and he stayed with him. And him and my mother helped me so I could be gone for 3 weeks. But I haven't been away from him that long ever again. And he was probably like 4 or 5 then, and I cried every day. And I didn't have an iPhone then. And we did Skype. Skype was new, so we were doing Skypes. But other than that, no. Like I just did that tour with Talib. Man, that's like I'm a logistical master. Like my son is just learning to drive now. He don't got his license, so he's not driving himself to school yet. So I got to figure out how to get him to school, from school, to all the programs that he's in. He's in Midnight Golf. He's in this. So I got to get him to all the things.
They give out scholarships too.
Yeah, he's applying because I need the money. Hello, ancestors, so we can get the baby to school.
What school he gets? What school he's going to?
I don't know. Where you gonna go? He's applied to Cal Arts. He's auditioning for Berkeley next month. He's applied to Western Michigan. Yeah.
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't Berkeley. It was a school in LA though.
Howard, North Carolina, A&T. Like nothing yet, but we're waiting to hear. He's gonna land somewhere. I don't know. All I know is mom's gonna be able to be other places for longer period. I would like, so for me, I always say the beginning because now I can. There's residencies and things I turn down that I will look at and cry and go, God, I wish I could do that, but I don't have the support system to do that. My mother supported me a lot when he was younger, but she doesn't drive anymore, and he really is a mobile young person, and so. Until he has his own car and is driving himself, I have to still provide all of that. So, yeah, and then it's hard to be away that long. I miss him. So, but now he's older and he's like, he's good. I raised him well. He can handle, take care of himself.
Do you, I'm not going to say fear, but like, because, I know you think of yourself at like 18, but you say you just won an award at 22.
Yeah.
So like, what I'm trying to say, because I think about my younger self.
Yeah.
In college, and I know my daughter gonna go and be like, oh my God, all the stuff I was doing, but I was still fine. I still had the roots of my parents to like navigate, but I also saw a lot of things. It was around a lot of things. Like, do you think about that type of stuff? Like, you did a good teaching, but he still is gonna be out there in the world. He has.
I think he's all right. Like he's got a good head on his shoulder. I'm blessed. Like King is king, and I was very self motivated, but I had a lot of freedom growing up. So when I went to college, I was like, my friends who had been sheltered, those are the ones that they drank, they smoked, they did all the things. I mean, King, I don't drink, but I have parties and gatherings in my house. If King wanted to, he could be drinking the whiskey in the crib. I would notice. Like, he's not, I'm not really, no, because I know him, because I actually know my son. I know how he thinks about the world, and I don't worry. I'm worried. He's like more of the person that takes care of the other people in his crew. He's more of the person that listens to people who are having his friends that have issues. So he's become more of that. And I'm real proud of him because he's that guy. But he'll experience life and he'll make some mistakes, I'm sure. I definitely made some that I can't take back. But again, it's like I'm not a helicopter parent either. I can't do that. I've raised him I want him to go and destroy everything. You end up at Cal Arts or Berkeley or Western Michigan, wherever you end up, he's really talented musician, really talented music producer. I call him like a young Dilla. He don't like that, but I'm like, come on, Dilla, let's go. We need another one. But his ear is crazy. His ear is fantastic. And I'm not saying that because I'm his mama. He's had some very proficient MCs listen to his beats. He won't give nobody a beat. He won't come off no beats. If I told you who was asking for music, you'd be like, yo, what's wrong with you, son? Like, run, but he's making his music for himself to become the artist he wants to become. So he ain't trying to give it away yet. So he'll want some money,
Sound like college. A young Kanye when he was talking about I had some crazy beats, but you just wouldn't come off.
He wouldn't come off of it. Okay, so this is a thing. Yeah. Okay, because I'm just confused by it. I'm like, dude, don't you wonder you can just sell a beat for like $500?
I guess quick. It's the process of a genius. This is just how geniuses work.
So he's talented and film acting too, studying that. And so but I feel like I've done enough. He's got a good head on his shoulder, and he has traveled all over the world. So he's not a kid that hasn't seen the planet. I've taken him everywhere with me. He's performed in Shanghai. He's been in different islands. He's been to Ghana. We went to Ghana. He was the youngest Night Arts winner in the history of Night Arts. So he won a $15,000 matching grant when he was like 9 or 10. And we took that program to Ghana. And so he's there with 75 kids. He's just 10 years old, helping me run workshops and things like that. And so I think his exposure to the world will help him stay grounded too. So, but it is what it is. You know what I mean? I have to continue my life, and there's things that I want to do. Like I've wanted to build a library in Soweto, South Africa. There's like places in the world where I know my gifts and my heart could be something of use, and I want to be able to do more of that, and I'll be able to do more of that with the time. Yeah, and I'm gonna write probably novels and more screenplays. It's about brain space, and right now my heart and my energy and my everything is just about my son getting to where he needs to be, and then everything it comes after that. So.
I love that. Ashe. Yeah. We really appreciate you just gracing us with your presence on the show. Could you tell them where they can find you, and especially find your books?
Oh, please, follow me at on Instagram, Jessica Caremore, just my name, JESSICACAREMOOR. They didn't give me my E, I don't know why. And also the group, my rock band, our record's coming out February 7th. I don't know when this is showing, but February 7th.
Tomorrow.
Oh, great, yes.
Yeah, tomorrow.
Okay, we are Scorpio, so Stephanie Christian, shout out to Stephanie, great rock artist. We have 2 songs out right now, Super Duper Star and Rock and Roll Nigga. So those are songs y'all can get everywhere. Please get them. Put them on your playlist. Yes. And Scorpio is coming out. I'm a Scorpio. She's a Scorpio. So, the Scorpios, we're going to love this song. It's coming. Shout out to Wordsworth and One Below and Pharoah Monch, three great MCs that are Scorpios that I love very much. And so, the Instagram, Facebook, I guess you can follow me there too. I'm not there as much. They shadow ban me a lot. I talk a lot about Palestine.
Yeah, I see. I wanted to talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, we've made decisions, myself and Saul Williams and other artists who have put there since the beginning. First of all, Palestine, and talking about Palestine has been something that I've been doing since I was 17. Like, I don't understand activism and being about black people and not being pro-Palestine, not being about the end of an occupation of a people.
Yeah, they're killing, majority of people who are getting killed over are women and children. So they're trying to kill
the children. They want to kill
the women because they are the creators.
The creators.
That is fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Like, bro, they're
it's genocide.
Big time genocide. Like, in every video I see is children. I'm like, why am I always seeing? But somebody.
And this country is paying for it. And I'm just gonna say, like, I'm voting for Cornel West for president. And so people
Cornel West running?
He absolutely is. Yes. And so and more people need to know that. And I know that just for me as a person, me and my son have this debate. But like for a person, he's gonna be voting for the first time. He'll be 18. But a person that's been voting the lesser of the evil besides Barack Obama. That was the first time I voted for president. I was like, I'm voting for a president. I was so excited to vote for Barack Obama. But other than that, it's been like the lesser of the evil. I'm not doing it. I can't participate in genocide. I can't. I heard
that our tax dollars.
Our tax dollars, we're paying for it. Yeah. We're paying for it. And so when there's so many things here that are not getting paid for, where our schools are not like top-notch schools, like the schools, like we have billions of dollars to go kill people.
I think our education system is at the bottom of the
It's at the bottom. Yeah, because we want workforce. They don't want people. So, and so you have to, and that, so I won't say we need schools. Like, you're an educator, we need schools. We need educators to come together and build schools.
In which we can. I've been watching documentaries how they're setting them up.
We used to have them here in Detroit. We had so many African-centered schools.
We did. They all closed them up.
Mama was talking about that.
Only one left is Malcolm X Paul Robeson. I worked there for a year.
We need more, because that's where I would have sent my son, or somebody on who I'm like, explain himself to, or who he is, or who would nurture and affirm him being a young black boy, as opposed to being intimidated by it or wanting to diminish, or silence. And so, but yeah, because of that, I'm not always, the meta isn't always giving the love to my posts, but Instagram, for whatever reason, seems to be more forgiving. For some reason, they're all owned by the same people running all of it. Yeah, Twitter, some racists took over my Twitter, so I'm not on Twitter anymore. They call it X. So, and then because of the politics of Twitter, I don't have an interest in being on that platform anymore, not as an artist. So Black Women Rock might be there. But Jessica Kilmore, please. And then this is the 20th anniversary of Black Women Rock. So shout out to Black Women in Rock and Roll. And so I'm working to raise the money for the 20th anniversary this year. When I say working, I mean I'm working to make sure it happens here. I'd like to tour it, but it has to happen in Detroit. Yes. So look for that. But yeah, follow me on Instagram. It's the best way.
Cool. And where can they find the books again?
Oh, the books are everywhere. Books are sold. So these are everywhere.
They're sold out? Damn.
No, everywhere they're sold.
Okay,
like you can get them everywhere, like Barnes & Nobles, Amazon, blah, 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 blah. Sunlight Through Bullet Holes and God Is Not an American. Those are books that More Black Press publish. And those books you can get from me directly at jessicakirmore.org. Yeah, just hit me up.
God Is Not an American.
We're going to have all that tagged in the
description.
description.
Yeah, this is like my third book.
That's
It's a good title. It's one of my favorite books.
Yeah, that was actually my first question I wanted to ask about God Is Not a... I didn't get to it, but...
What? Ask.
I thought the title was just so interesting, and I wanted to ask you, like, what does that mean? Because that's like...
Oh, well, America has a God complex, we do. That the last poets wrote about. And so that's what... When I said God's not American, what's deep about that title? Like, well, I mean, it's impossible for God to be an American. America is is like a baby as far as, like, existing. And so... When people were like, I was at Lincoln Center doing a performance, and a white guy came up to me and looked at it and said, well, what does that mean? Well, why? I was like, well, is God an American? So I'm dealing with like the God complex and the fact that, we think like, even when you think about like now I hear athletes talking about it, saying that we're the world champions when the world isn't participating in your sport. Right. Like, you ain't a world champion unless you've competed with people in other places. Like the World Series.
Yeah, the one athlete did just talk about that.
Yeah, they're just now, and it's funny, like things I've been talking about forever, and you're like, finally you get some of the younger ones come in and and they charter in The Voice and say, and that's what we need. But I do think
America does have, like, if we did like football against the whole world, I definitely think America would win.
You mean this football?
Yeah,
but
not soccer. Yeah, not soccer. No.
What you talking about?
No.
I wish I had something coming up in Detroit I can promote, but you know what? I'm supposed to be doing a reading at the Carr Center. Melba Joyce Boyd just reached out to me on February 18th. Myself, and I think Nandi Comer, who's the Michigan Poet Laureate. I'm not a Detroit Poet Laureate, but I plan to be. Somebody make me the Detroit Poet Laureate.
We need to do that.
I'm just kidding. No, I don't care about none of that shit. But I am the voice of Pure Michigan. So me and Nandi thought that was a cool thing to have two black women in really powerful places.
Oh, that's
to do
corporate
poetry.
for real. Pure Michigan.
That's gangster. Yeah. Pure Michigan's been awesome. It's been a great. We didn't talk a lot about the corporate thing either, but doing the corporate storytelling has been a way for me to make,
I just didn't want to push your time. That's the only reason I don't.
You're all good.
Yeah, I just like to be mindful of people's time.
I appreciate you. I know my son is like, I'm hungry.
Yeah, that too. We got lists of questions for days, and I'm like, just let me.
I can always come back, and I would love to, come back and talk about the music more, the rock and roll piece. But please just get the music and follow me on Instagram. I just appreciate being here. Like, I really wanted to talk to you. I was excited to do it. And y'all are great.
Yeah,
I appreciate you being here.
Appreciate your energy, man. You look beautiful too, by the way.
Thank you. Really, I don't look tired. And I got my Detroit.
Yeah, go Detroit. Detroit play tonight. Hopefully we get the dub.
Play tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
They play tomorrow?
Yeah, Sunday.
Yeah, Sunday.
Okay. They play tomorrow.
Yeah, no, I'm in Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh.
We gonna get that dub.
I'm be there for a Dilla tribute with Deshaun Jones and a full orchestra. Me and Slum Village. It's me, Slum Village, and Deshaun Jones and Urban Art Orchestra. We performing tomorrow at the August Wilson Center. So yeah. Yeah, but the game is tomorrow, so I'm going to Pittsburgh in the morning. But I'm looking for the game.
You're mine, baby, and I can't. Baby, I'm selfish. Let you. Yes. Hey, they was snapping on that.
Come on,
hey man,
they was talking all Detroit.
By 10, man. By 10 was such a beautiful spirit. Such a beautiful spirit. Yeah.
Ashe, rest in peace.
Yeah, rest in peace.
Make sure y'all Just stay tuned next week for another episode. This has been a powerful episode, powerful conversation, great energy. This has been The Beginning with
The
Jessica
Beginning,
Moore,
that's
Spank the
right.
Bank, Ahmad DePaul. We'll see you in the next one. It's Breaking the
Peace.
Machine. You dig?
Beginning.